Good morning. Welcome again to morning Minimise, and yeah, today we're going to be doing some more Jetpack Compose stuff. Maybe not, maybe not so much work with composables today. I know we've got some stuff to do in the view model, but hopefully we still touch on it a bit. But yeah, I think the first thing I want to get on today is updating to the new Compose version. I think it was last night at some point or yesterday, dev17 was released. So yeah, we're looking forward to updating that. We'll do that now and seeing seeing what's new, seeing if anything's changed, anything's gonna break our app. Um, just need to update. What else do I need to change? Is that enough? Um, cool. I think that's pretty much. Ah, cool. Already got that. Cool. So we got the Kotlin compiler extension version is handled by the dependency version, and yeah, we should be able to sync that, and that should be fine. Yeah, I haven't actually. I had a quick look at the change logs this morning just to see what changed. A few removals and a few additions. It doesn't always go. Obviously, the change notes is kind of like the bigger things, and there tend to be a lot of smaller things that are changed under the hood, and also like um, sort of things that might be mentioned in the change log. So I find the easiest way of seeing if anything's broken is updating it, building it, and see what happens. Hopefully there's nothing huge that's going to change. But while that's working, I'm going to spin up my emulator. Let's just do this one, and we should be able to. We should be able to, once that's started probably, we should be able to launch our app just to see what's happening. Cool. I have got the chat open on my phone. I've been pretty bad at that, so if there's any thoughts while we're streaming, feel free to stick them in the chat, and do my best to answer there. Cool. So whilst that's building, I think today what I'm going to try and do is add some view model tests. There we go. Ooh. Okay, maybe we won't be adding view model tests. This is like a bit of a change. So it looks like the tab row has changed. So previously, the tab row passed in a list of strings, but that looks like that's not the case anymore. What happens now? Okay, so okay, so now you pass in the tabs. Okay, so previously you could pass in a collection of titles for the tabs, but now it looks like you can only pass in. Oh, there's a scrollable tab row. Oh, cool. Okay, nice. Okay, so previously there's only one tab row that took a collection of strings that were used for the tab titles. Now it looks like that's not the case, and you pass in a collection of composables which you use for the tabs, which we can change. Looks like there's also no longer a scrollable flag, and instead there's a separate scrollable tab row that is to be used. Um, okay, cool. So let's let's change that. So I think the first thing we can do is change this to be a scrollable tab row, um, and get rid of this flag just to remove that out of the way. We don't need that anymore. What can we do next? It's indicator container. So that is basically like you could. This was used to like if you wanted to use like custom indicators. I think this was. I think I don't know if this was the intention, but I think this was previously intended for that. Because I wanted to have my like these like rounded indicators, that were flat at the bottom. So I used this to define that. However, so it's just maybe that's just changed to indicator. So now you just get a list of tab positions, and you don't even need. Do you not need this anymore? I don't know. Maybe that's enough. Oh, cool. I hope so. That simplifies it a lot. Because to be honest with you, I didn't really know what that was all about. I remember diving into the documentation for the indicator container, but it seemed like a bit. Yeah, it seemed like a bit boilerplate to have to do that and then define your indicator. So to be able to remove that's quite nice. So if that's the case, like hats off to the team for that. It looks, looking at the source code, it looks like that. You get the list, you get the tab positions, and then by default there's a default indicator unless you provide your own. So that's the default one. And then if you provide your own, then it will be used by that. I don't know if I need that. Maybe not. I feel like I might do. I feel like what's it? The indicator that represents which tab is currently selected. Okay. So you only want to show that if the currently one is selected. That makes sense. I think I might need to add some logic for that then, because there's no longer this selected index flag either. Oh, selected tab index. Okay, so we can change that. So maybe what I'll do here is I'll remove this for now. But I feel like what we're going to have to do is have some logic that uses the tab positions to check whether we should show the indicator or not. I think that's going to be the case. I can't know for sure until I run it and see what happens. Divider, that now has a default divider about it. I think previously it didn't. Okay, so I did that because I wanted to override it, so that's cool. Nice. So far that looks happy. The only other thing we need to do is this item. So this is now passed through via the tabs composable argument. So I think what we can do now is going to delete that. You pass a collection. You pass a composable which represents your tabs. So we no longer have this current tab or this index, because I presume we don't have the index anymore or the current tab because we're just providing all of the tabs. So maybe what we need to do now is loop through our tab titles that we were previously providing. Again, kind of just going off of the bat here because okay. So I think like if we loop through our tabs, we should be able to then just do the same thing. So loop through our titles, create tab references, and that should be enough. Again, if you're just joining, this is a dev17 change, so I'm trying to adapt to this. Tab, what's changed to do with the tab? Selected, on selected. So it's on click. So that's now changed to on click. Cool, that's fine. And then what we need to do here is cool. Okay, well that seems to work. Nice. What it looks like it works. We don't know if it works yet. So just to recap, there we've removed we're previously using a tab row, but that's changed in dev17. We removed the scrollable flag, and instead we're using a new scrollable tab row. Couple of name changes for the arguments. For example, this on click has changed, and we also changed indicator. The indicator was previously had a bit more boilerplate, but now it looks like the indicator logic's changed, so we've been able to update that. So we need to dig into what's going on here, and instead of passing a list of strings for the tabs, as in like the titles of the tabs, we now need to provide a composable that represents the tabs we want to display, which I think makes more sense. I think it gives you a lot more control, especially to be able to create like custom stuff and custom tabs. I think before it was quite restrictive with just being able to do the strings, so now a bit more flexibility. Let's run that and see. I think what's going to happen here is that every tab is going to have an indicator. Oh, ugh. Got some more. Okay, more changes. Okay, there's a bunch of changes. Okay, I don't think we're going to get to these tests today. I'll close that for now. More changes here. So what's changed in the text field? Value. That's interesting. It's going to split that. And value change. Label is needed. Modify. Interesting. String. I think we're passing a string there. Ah, no, we're not. That's why. So we should be able to just get the text there. Oh, cool. So the text field doesn't take a state anymore. It just takes a string. Oh no, it does. Text field value. Okay, I don't think that's the issue. So we've got our value. We've got our value changed. We've got our label. That's needed, but I'm not using it. And we've got what else is needed? On focus change. Ah. There's not an on focus change. Can't see it anyway. No. That's a shame. Oh, okay, yeah, because I remember seeing in the changelog there was some stuff to do with the focus modifier. I think there's been some changes around focus modifiers, so there you go, yeah. I think the focus, yes, the focus modifier is, as far as I'm aware, is applied via a modifier on the composable. So now instead of having like an on-focus change listener in the actual composable, that will be applied by a modifier. I'm gonna just, for now, I'm just gonna remove that. The focus stuff I had in place was quite, I don't know, I want to say messy, and it didn't really work. So I think for now I'm just gonna remove that stuff, and I already removed some in. This is the creation screen? I already actually moved some before, so I think, yeah. So I think for now I'll just remove it, and we'll make use of the actual composer modifiers in future. Cool. So slider has also changed by the looks of it. Ah, cool. So we now have. Ah, nice. So instead of a single color, we now have individual colors. So what I'm going to do is change the font color, active track, and active tick. So you probably won't have to set these in most cases. It looks like it uses the primary. So it uses the primary color for the active track, and then for the thumb, as well as the active track, and then for the active tick, it looks like it applies an alpha. So yeah, for now, maybe we don't need. Yeah, for now we're just, because the primary color of the app is blue, and yeah, I don't want to use that, otherwise you won't be able to see the slider. So I'm just gonna set them to white for now. That's what we want. What else was there? An alert dialog. Oh, we haven't been on these screens before, so apologies if there's no context. Just some naming changes here by the looks of it. I think that makes sense, because currently in Android we have the on close listener and the on dismiss listener. Always forget which one to use, and I think dismiss is the one that covers all grounds. So I think that makes sense to have that rename there, because there's only single listener. So I think that makes sense. And we've got some more changes here in the reset password screen. This screen isn't actually being used at the moment, but that's been, I remember that was actually, I think that was a dev17 change. I just didn't update it because the screen wasn't being used, but now it won't compile, so we have to. What's going on here? Cool. Cool. So, with those in place, I think we should be able to run it. That should work. The main thing that I don't know that's going to work is the tab. Was it in this screen? The tab, right? I know it's on the dashboard. So it's in here. So this is still in two separate modules because I haven't got around to updating it yet. But that's, yeah, so this is the bit that I don't think is going to work. I think it's going to draw an indicator for every single tab, which we don't want. So while that's building, so you only want to show, there we go, it's installing anyway. But I think, so here we only want to show a tab for the currently selected indicator instead of all of them, because that's what you have to do. There we go, yeah, that looks a bit weird. The rest seems to work with the changes and the update, but it's just this one. What did we change? What did we change? So if we what does it look like if we remove that? I just want to see how it looks without that. Again, we can't see the. Oh, actually, I don't know. I can't see the preview as far as aware at the moment because of the Android Studio. I think we're still waiting for Canary 8 for that to be fixed, someone said. Let's just try something. If so what happens here? Default tab indicator offset, tab positions, selected tab index. Okay, so that's, so without our changes, that kind of looks as it is, and that looks as expected. I think if we take the default tab indicator offset modifier and see how this works. So you give it the current tab position, looks like it does a bunch of math, and then it will. Okay, cool. So let's try and like imitate that a bit. So let's just see if we can recreate that. So position is tab positions. So that will be our position that we want. So we take the current tab positions, we get the position using the index of the current categories from our list of categories, and that's pretty much what we had before. So now what we want to do is we only want to show that, I think, when. So what's it doing? Offsetting it. This looks a bit funky. Maybe we need to do a similar thing there. We do use that as a. Actually, we can do the default. Can we reuse that? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's actually going to work, but if that's the modifier that's available, then maybe we can utilize that. If we run that, I can't even remember what the tab looked like before. It looked very similar. It just had some rounded corners. Maybe you don't need it for now. It'd be nice to understand how this works. I was looking at. Okay, that doesn't even work. This is the thing when there's no documentation. Um, let's see if we can see if anything in the release notes about this. So dev17 commits. Weird. Here we go. So API changes. If there's anything that was mentioned. No. Weird. Okay, well, I'm a bit stumped on that. If I've really got time to dig in on it. Let's see. So the indicator is a box that fills the max width. So it should fill the whole width. But it just has an offset. Yeah, I don't know. So I think previously, okay, I get it now. I think previously you were drawing the indicator for a tab, like just the single composable that would only span the width of a tab. But looking at the source code, that didn't click with me before. It looks like we're now drawing for the whole width of the tab row. So that's wrong. And then here, it looks like the offset is being applied for the actual indicator. Strange. I think that, yeah. I think for now, I might just use the default indicator. A, because it's easier, and B, I don't know, this is going to change this design anyway. I think I might have I haven't really got time now, but have a quick look into how that change works and maybe circle back on it tomorrow. I didn't see any documentation or notes in the changelog about that, so need a bit of digging. This is the fun thing with Compose, because there's still like not a huge amount of documentation and such. It's keeping up to date with it takes a little bit of digging sometimes, but I think that looks fine as it is. To be honest, the only difference was that you probably couldn't even notice it, to be honest. Like my custom ones were like rounded on the end instead of straight, just to match like the other rounded parts of the UI. So it's not a huge requirement. It's just a nice to have, so I think we can live without it for now. And then, like I said, circle back and look at how to create those. Cool, so I think in terms of updating to dev17, that is pretty much it. I think there's a few other things we can tidy up, like I've spotted a few deprecations whilst going through stuff, and I think that can be a task for another day. But yeah, just to reiterate, yeah, today we updated to dev17, mostly argument name changes in the alert dialog. We've had some stuff for the tab row which changed. Yeah, mainly naming changes. The biggest change probably seen is in the tab row, but other than that, nothing breaking. And yeah, we also saw the slider color name changes. But yeah, other than that, not too much. Just put another deprecation here. If you're using the lazy column items, it's also been renamed by the look of it. So yeah, some breaking changes, some deprecations, but nothing too big. So that's it for today. Last stream of the week, I think, and I'll be back next week and hopefully have some more clarity on that tab row change, and we can take a look at it then. But yeah, cheers for watching.